Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. I should actually be getting ready for bed, but I just couldn't let this day end without doing this video. Now, in this thrifted measuring cup, and in the bottom half of a spray bottle that no longer works, I have two new dies that I created using, household items. And I wanted to show you the results. Now, I'm not going to tell you just yet what made these things, but I will show you, like this, the paper still hasn't even finished drying. This was just a scrap piece of paper that was lying around that I was going to make a list on. And this is what I sprayed the pink stuff with. And you can see that it is virtually, something is happening there, but it's certainly not pink. It's like shades of mauve, perhaps. A light, dusky mauve. Oh, I also wanted to tell you that I got my order today from Temu, where I ordered, I think, 4 of these different sizes. These are the continuous spray bottles because I've had it up to my nose with spray bottles that no longer work. And, maybe part of it is my fault. Maybe it's a little abuse on my part in that I don't, sometimes I don't empty the whole thing. As you can see, there's a lot of liquid there and much more here. So, yeah, I'll take some blame. But I also think it's crappy stuff. So I paid attention to this the last time I got a haircut, and the hairdresser was spritzing my hair. So we talked a bit about it. And of course, if I were to buy one of these through a salon, I would be paying probably $15 or more. And are they that much better than a cheap imitation? Well, I guess we'll find out. Not that this is that cheap either. I think these bottles, I don't know, are $5 maybe or $6 each. So that's nothing to sneeze at. Anyway, this, well, let me show you. And I did cover my desk with the plastic tablecloth, that just so I don't wreck a few things. Anyway, so this is supposed to be ergonomic. Obviously, the action is like this as opposed to like this. And we'll get to this bottle in a minute. And I was sorely disappointed by what I saw appearing on the paper. This is the only one of the 4 that I've tested. So let's hope there is no design flaw with the others. And I guess I'll make it my business to do that tomorrow. And I thought, well, maybe it's the paper that is at fault here. It's just copy paper. So then I rediscovered something that I had. And it's a package, and I would say this is definitely vintage. A package of hand blotters. So this came from Grand & Toy back in the day. 80 pound, 75 sheets, 4 by 9.5 inches. And I think that my former draftsman husband used things like this. In fact, that's probably where this came from. I won't try to get a sheet out without ripping the outer leaf there. I have dyed this kind of paper before, and I think that draftsmen, when things were done, by hand a long way, I think this was a way to keep oily, possibly dirty hands off architectural drawings. I would also think that because they're called blotters, if a person was using a fountain pen or something like that, it would be a way to catch your blobs on here as opposed to on your, your ode to your girlfriend or whatever. So I then took a piece of this blotter paper and I sprayed it, and you can see that the color is considerably better. Now this too, right here where the color is the darkest, is still damp. Some of it soaked through, I guess. Anyway, maybe I should, since we're waiting for this to dry anyway, maybe I'll give it another shot and see if the color actually builds up. And I don't know how well you're able to see things, but I definitely see a mauvey bluish tinge in the background. And if this stays close to this, and maybe at the end of the video I'll just, dry it with the heat gun, then I would be happy with that. Now, typically, I would never be doing any dyeing one piece at a time, one page at a time here at my desk. I do mass dyeing, all-day projects in the kitchen on my island. But I did want to try out the bottle, and I wanted to try this stuff out before I had to put it in the fridge and refrigerate it. Now, this one, let's use this white again as comparison. This has a subtle tinge to it as well, and that came from this stuff. Now, since I sprayed some out, maybe let's see if I can put this in here. Look at me without a funnel. And I will be having a ceremonial disposal of this piece of crap. I have lately begun running any dyes that I make out of, food products. I have been putting them through a sieve, well, a coarser one and then a finer one, once or twice, just to pull out, separate any thicker matter that could serve to plug those tiny little hoses or the tiny little nozzle. I also, not so long ago, did some deep cleaning of some of my bigger spray bottles using a bleach solution. But I think that there is a quality issue really at play here. I think that's what it boils down to. And I refuse to keep any more of this stuff that doesn't work around here. Okay, so we'll let these guys just air dry. I also brought just my little, three things, I guess. I thought I would try a couple index cards. And today's index cards are so, see, there seems to, I don't know if I hold still. Can you see that there's some sediment in there? And, it could be that maybe what I should have done is strain it through several layers of cheesecloth. Anyway, can't do that right now. So, these modern El Cheapo index cards are so thin they're practically see-through. So we'll see if anything decent happens there. We'll do a pink one as well. And I also just grabbed this little few pages here off OC, and I guess I could also be, picking up some of this surplus liquid here, just with some book page. so we can watch and see what that, now this page isn't going to be much good to me because that's obviously where I was using that Japanese screw punch. And clearly I've got holes in a few more layers here. Anyway, let's see what this effect might be on book page. Now this, I am almost willing to bet, came out of a vintage Reader's Digest. So you know that the, I'm running out of spaces to put things. You know that the pages are pretty, you know, they tend to sort of yellow over time and probably weren't the greatest paper to begin with. But they work perfectly well for anything that we might be doing. So again, now this, you know, of course I have arthritis. This action with this one little finger doing all that work is really hard on a hand. Now it's not going to kill me to do a few little spritzes here at my desk, but again, I never want to do this. Just trying to, again, pick up some color. Is this, it almost seems like it's activating. It activated whatever that glittery stuff was there. That's a bonus. Okay, so we'll put this aside as well. And then, because I had done, I think this is my third video of the day, I also had a piece, some pieces of this Anaglypta wallpaper. So, let's give this a shot. Now this is a case where any sediment from the dye may, if it does manage to get through this nozzle mechanism, you know, it could be, it could be beautiful. I do not think, or at least I can't see any of that happening. Now, okay, let's let the smarter side of me overrule the cheaper side of me that would like to get the dregs of this out of here. I'm pouring that down the drain because that's where the sediment is. Okay, so we'll put this over here and we'll do another one of these with, whoopsie, with this red pink. I will dry it and then I will tell you how I made it. And I'm sure that there's some smart cookies out there like Teresa that are going to have a guess even before I reveal the answer. Doesn't that look kind of cool as it's drying? But again, how will this be at the end of the process, not at the beginning of the process? Now with this very heavily textured paper here, there's going to be some pooling, which is a good thing because then there will be higher concentrations of color. So let's have a look. This, whoopsie, has made the blue lines bleed somewhat, so that's okay. That's another interesting effect. Maybe let me just, now, you know, obviously I can't run a heat gun without it making noise, so either turn the volume down or cover your ears or run screaming from the room, whatever you need to do. So I'm just going to give this a little blast, and actually maybe I'll let that pool there. I'll do some of these other things instead. I'll, you know, oh, I forgot one other thing. I have this swatch of fabric that I wanted to try it on fabric because I had pre-torn some of these strips because I wanted to do more snippet rolls. That video should be airing any day of the one I did because Susie asked me to, and I aim to please. Okay, let's do the pink. This looks like that fabric is alive. Look at it. Ay, ay, ay. Now, it's a good thing in this case that there is no smell vision, because this, if you could smell this pink stuff, it would immediately give away the answer. So let's just, okay, I don't really have anything to dry that puddle up, but maybe it'll just happen with the blower going. Okay, so let's... Now the reason I picked this up is because obviously this heat will ruin the tablecloth, and it could very well warp the things underneath it as well, which are the cutting board, cutting mat, from the dollar store, as well as my actual healing mat, cutting mat. So this is not really, I'm not taking it totally to the point of dry, just attempting to get a better look at how this might look over time. And I think what I'll end up doing is putting this, once this is finished air drying, I will make it my business to put this with my follow-up Friday stuff. And then when I do another one of those videos, I will show you how it ended up. Because this is obviously not the greatest thing in the world for you to have to sit through. Let's do a little blast on this. So there's two bled the ink colors, made them kind of fuzzy looking. Again, not exactly great quality paper. And I think I will stop and let that one dry on its own since the color has puddled. This does not look pink at all. So that's very disappointing. Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe there is a tinge of pink. I will show you what white looks like. Actually, I should have this underneath. See, the browner color worked much better in this particular case. Which I suppose these unpredictable results are both exciting and frustrating. Okay, we're going to stop that. Oh, and the fabric. This must be pretty synthetic stuff because it is, I don't even know what the heck this is. Obviously, it was flatter when I first spritzed it. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to let it do its thing because you know what happens when dyed fabric is in an unusual shape. The color migrates and we'll end up with darker streaks, presumably. Okay, here's our test case. So that's white. So again, very light pink. This is rather nice. And of course, the white is the white. We'll show you again a white blotter page versus, now the pink is very subtle. Now I don't know, now this is still clearly where this is darkest here, it's still wet or still down. In fact, a lot of it is still down. Now I don't know if this very even distribution of color, mind you, I was going to say, I don't know if this very even distribution of color is a result of using this. This is called a continuous spray bottle, which means it's not supposed to dribble or blob or excuse me, leak. But yet I use this bottle on this, and it too is a very flat, you know, virtually, other than a few darker spots, virtually flat matte surface. So don't know what's going on there. Book page is still considerably pretty wet. So those are those two. That's what the book looks like. So I think there are some possibilities here. And again, this is very subtle, and maybe that's exactly what a person wants. However, I don't know in the long term whether that is going to mean, if it makes any sense to attempt something like this in the future. So I'll tell you what I used. The other day, the kids passed some kind of mystery little fruit. Apparently it had been, they'd picked up this stuff at Costco and shared a bit with us. Now, I wish I would have kept one intact. I wish I would have, you know, known what the real name was. I thought it was a lychee nut, but I wasn't convinced because I also thought that those were kind of had spiky, very rough outer, well, I'll say shell for lack of a better word. This thing was about, you know, perhaps an inch in size, an inch in diameter, very easy to peel. And inside was something that almost looked gelatinous. It wasn't, but it almost looked like an eyeball, to be honest. It was kind of transparent, and you could see that it had a dark, like a black pit in the middle. And the first time I tasted one, I thought, oh, it tastes like booze. I can't remember what my husband's verdict was on what he thought it tasted like. And then talking to my daughter, she said it was supposed like it's a member of the honeydew family or something. So don't ask me what that was. Anyway, of course, we had just gotten a little sandwich bag with a few of those, so I had very few pits. But I thought, well, what the heck? So I boiled them in a bit of water on the stove. I lost track of how many times I set the timer. I've learned that if I'm leaving the stove unattended, I better set the timer. Otherwise, I could boil a pot dry when I get caught up here in my studio or start making videos and lose track of time, whatever. So I don't remember, honestly, how many times I reset the timer on the stove. But so I will never have this stuff again, I'm sure. I didn't like it that much to begin with. Did my little experiment. I will spray this out. I'm just trying to see if something is settling here too. I might try screening this, or not screening, what do you call it? Running it through a fabric. Like fabric would be better than cheesecloth. Cheesecloth is too big, even if the holes are too big, even if you have multiple layers. So I would run it through a piece of fabric. Anyway, guess, well, I guess you have been trying to guess. This stuff smells great. This is rhubarb juice. I was not cleaning out the freezer. I mean, I had been looking at these packages of frozen rhubarb chunks for 2, 3 more years. And I'm not going to make a pie. I'm not going to make rhubarb crisp. I used to have a really good recipe for a rhubarb punch. But again, that after that much time, I'm sure they were freezer burned. So I thought, let's make rhubarb in the freezer and let's see what we get. And this is what we got. Now, rhubarb, of course, is very pulpy. So I had to do a lot of work to, number one, try to extract as much juice as I could out of it, but also, of course, discard that brownish mass afterwards. Not filtered. Why do I keep wanting to say filtered? Ran it through a sieve a couple of times, and I think I don't see anything settling in this. I am so far pleased with how this bottle has worked. But again, because it's a continuous mist, excuse me, because it's a continuous mist, a person isn't necessarily going to get those blobs and dribbles, thicker and thinner areas that sometimes make our dyeing so unique. This actually smells good enough to drink, but I won't. So what I'll probably end up doing, because I don't want to have to put both these things in the fridge, and it's far too late to continue dyeing anything more tonight, what I will do is pick one of my bigger bottles, hope that I can get because I have almost 2 cups in here, and this is probably a good 8 ounces. So I need a large capacity so I can get it all into one bottle. Oh my goodness, look how that's fading. Again, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Compared to white, it's still looking pretty good. Anyway, I don't know if you shouted out your guests to your phone or to your laptop, but I thought rather than just chucking out 2 bags of frozen rhubarb that I would give. Geez, my frog is back. I thought it would be worth my while to try to see if I could make some dye. Now, I suppose what a person could do to deepen the color and maybe add some more color fastness to it, because this, like many things, including beet dye, which is very fugitive, this could very well fade. So if a person put a drop or two of red food coloring in there, it might just be the cat's meow. So it'll be interesting to see what develops. I might just reserve some of this to do that tomorrow as well. So again, I'll keep these pieces together as they dry. I'll show them to you in a follow-up Friday video. And at that time, I will also report on what happened when I hope I have food coloring. What happened when I added some food coloring to the mixture. Which reminds me, oh my goodness, there is a dyeing technique that I'm dying to try that I saw on Thumbprint Creations by Carrie. I need to put a Post-it on my forehead as a reminder to do that. So I'm just making myself a note. Anyway, I've got a lot of, excuse me, I've got a lot of irons in the fire right now, so that may not happen immediately, but I definitely do want to try it. So anyway, I will let you go. I'll get this stuff into the fridge overnight and do what I promised to do. So thank you, and I hope that this this gun is still kind of warm. I hope this encourages you to look at the things in your kitchen and in your fridge and freezer through new eyes, and maybe discover that, you know, it's worth the time and effort and the power to boil some of this stuff for a bit of time, because that's probably how these, excuse me, these happy accidents and inventions are formed. We're mad scientists at heart. Anyway, guys, thank you for being here. Bye-bye.